Where'd my mic go? What's going on? My mic isn't showing anything. Interesting. There we go. It's WDWL-TV, located on Grumpy Vulture Boulevard, and Grumpy Studios are located on Grumpy Old Man Road. All right. And we are a division. Holy shit. What the hell was that? Strange things happen. And we are a division of Grumpy Vulture Productions. Take your bow. All right. Sit there. First off, Grumpy, personally, over YouTube and Faceplant, wants to send his congratulations to Olympic swimmer Katie Ledecky. Over the weekend, she won the gold in the 800-meter freestyle. Now, I watched that. Holy shit. I'd have got tired after the first time across the pool, let alone back and forth and 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 back and forth. Holy shit. But the amazing thing is, this, over the weekend, gold medal marks her 4th gold medal in 4 Olympics in this event. That girl's amazing. Yes, 4 Olympics, 4 golds, 800-meter freestyle. That girl swims like a torpedo. Now, Grumpy'd been off for a little bit. First of all, I had to do some updates. One computer, the main computer decided it wanted to act up. I don't know what's going on. But I got a spanking from YT. Yeah. Now, here's the strange thing. Grumpy has been playing Frank Yankovic music for over 2 years. Over 2 years. The other day, I got a spanking. Yes. It seems, and this is strange, this makes no sense. In some countries, but they don't name them, in some countries, Who Stole the Kishka is copyrighted music. Not here, because I could play it here. But it says, in some countries, due to a copyright infringement, it will be silenced. So, at the end of my video, there's no music playing in some countries because they mute it. You know how many times I played Who Stole the Kishka in over 2 years? Well, yep, I got a spanking. So, they want me to play their suggested music. You know, YouTube has this big list of approved music. Grumpy don't like any of their approved music. I like my music. They don't have any music from my day. So, I know I can't play Who Stole the Kishka. So I'll have to figure out some other closing songs. But today we're not closing with no music because I ain't taking no chances. So yeah, I got a spanking. I'm going to get a spanking from my oncologist too. I'm smoking more than 5, Doc. Don't look. $5 a day. Jesus. Now, something interesting happened over the weekend. 20 years ago, I had what they call a cervical fusion, a C5, C6. That's where I'll explain. I hadn't realized it was that long ago, 2004. But all these years, it never crossed my mind until Sunday. And I'm going down the playlist. I was just going through stuff on YouTube, nothing special. And I see this live cervical fusion surgery. Oh, well, it wasn't live. It was live at the time. It said live but the little red live wasn't. But the doctor did it live. I find out this doctor broadcasts every day, live, all of his surgeries on the tube. I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to get a copyright infringement. But it says, live cervical fusion with hardware. Oh, hardware. So, I decide for the first time in 20 years to see what the surgery looked like. Holy shit. Good thing I didn't watch that video before because I'd have told the doctor, hey, I don't think so. First, they put this film on. It's called, made by 3M, IO-Band 2. It looks like yellow film. It's supposed to be antimicrobial, prevents infection, all that shit. That's, after they wash your neck down with iodine and all that other shit. So they put this stuff on the neck. And the doctor takes a Sharpie. And he's drawing. Okay, here we go. Here's the surgery level. 1, 2, 3, 4. He did a 6-7. I got a 5-6. Same thing. So he draws and he writes, makes little notes on the guy's neck. Now, this happened to be the same surgery I had. It's the newer form. They go through the front instead of the back. Worked for me. Matter of fact, you can't even see the incision anymore. 20 years are gone. It was pretty good size. So, I'm watching. And they start the surgery. And they're opening layers and layers and layers. And they're using these tools. They look like bent scrapers, putty knives, and they're pulling and pulling and pulling open. And I'm like, gee, they ain't very gentle. And the doctor's cutting and the other one's pulling and he's cutting and they're pulling and they're cutting and they're pulling. Now they're using what he called a bovie. A bovie. I thought he said bovine at first. I was looking for a cow in the operating room. Yeah, he said to the surgical assistant, give me a bovie. I was waiting for a cow to stick its head in. A bovie is a hot scalpel. It's a cauterizing. So as they cut, you don't bleed that much. Okay, works for me. But he's cutting, and he's cutting, and he's cutting, and he's cutting, and he finally gets to the vertebrae. Oy, oy, oy. I hadn't realized what it looks like inside your neck. So then, this is scary. Well, all the cutting and yanking was scary. He comes out with these two, they look like shark's teeth on the end of a metal bar, and they're curved. And they fish them in, and then he clamps them in the device, and he's cranking the neck open. And I'm like, holy shit, does that stretch that much? And he cranked it open about that wide. Holy crap. So then, he has to scrape all the meat off the bones. That's my non-surgical term. Scraping the meat off the bones. He called it dissecting. He was scraping the meat. So he scrapes all the meat off the bones. And your neck bones are ugly. Good thing they keep them on the inside. So he finally gets to the point where he has to repair the disc. Well, he has to get some bone out of the way. And he comes in with these big things that look like vice grips. And he just starts twisting and tearing. I mean, they ain't gentle in surgery. Holy shit. Grab, twist, yank. Grab, twist, yank. I'm like, oh my God. No, good thing I was asleep. So he finally gets all this post installer. Yeah. The nurse hands him the tool. He takes it and he sets it on the bone. He starts whacking it with a hammer. Whack, whack, whack. Twist, 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 twist. Well, it's a stainless steel post. So then he does the second one. Whack, whack, whack. Twist, twist, twist. Okay, now he's got these two posts in the guy's neck. Then he has this special tool that goes down over the posts. And he's cranking and cranking and cranking, and you can see the bones starting to separate. And then he shows he lets it go. Watch how far the cervical bones will move. Crank, 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 crank. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So then he starts the disectomy. And he's got this neat little tool, looks like a little tiny bent spoon. And he starts scraping and scraping, and the other doctor comes in with this fancy bent pair of they look like tweezers. Had little bitey things on the end, and he's taking the bits and pieces out. So he finally gets the disc all removed. Well, then he goes, "What? Hey, Doc, do you see what I see?" And I'm praying, I hope the doctor sees what he sees. And the other doctor that's assisting him goes, "Oh, I see bone spurs." "That's correct, Doc. Hand me a drill." Well, I handed him it didn't look like it's not one of your Ryobis. And it's got this little burr ball on the end of it. And he starts, and he's grinding the bones. He says, "I have to make a nice fit for the cage." Cage? I'm thinking like cat carrier, cage. No, it's this round device that goes in between what he removed. It's some kind of, what did he call it, polycarbon something or another. So, he says, give me a number 8 cage. And he goes to test fit and he goes, not big enough. I'm thinking, how big a cage is he going to put in? Well, the opening wasn't big enough. Hand me the drill. Bits of bone are flying all over the place. Okay, give me the cage. Starts to set the cage in between this hole now that he's created in your neck. So he starts to do a little twist, Mallet, please. Next thing I know, the nurse hands him a hammer. And he's whack, whack, whack. And I mean, they ain't gentle. He's beating the shit out of this thing to get it to go into the neck. Well, he finally gets it in place. He goes, cool. We got it now. Time for the hardware. Oh, now this has got me interested because Grumpy has hardware. I wanted to see how they install this shit. So, the nurse hands him, it looks like a dog bone. I'll show you. I got the x-ray. Hopefully it'll show up on screen. So it looks like, one of them that a dog has on his collar, with his name on it, Trixie. He puts his dog bone in between the 2 vertebrae. This is going to hold, how did he say it? It's going to fixate. He's literally going to screw the 2 vertebrae so they don't move. So he puts this metal cage, no, it wasn't a cage. What did he call it? I can't remember what he called it. It looked like a dog bone. He puts it in, lines it up. Then, he asked for this weird cervical something. It looked like an ice pick. He goes in the first hole, tap, 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 and he's beating this thing in, twist it out. Okay, screw. That goddamn screw looked like it was about this long. Twisting it. So he puts in the 4 screws. Then, he says, give me the betadine. Now they got this hole open in the neck. The girl hands him a plastic pitcher. It looked like it held like 4 cups. And it looks like a turkey baster. And he squirts a little bit in and he goes, here, we'll just do it this way. And he pours this shit in. And there's this big, huge puddle in the neck. So the doctor sucks it all out. He no sooner sucks it all out, the doc goes, give me some more betadine. And pours some more in. Big puddle inside the neck. They suck it out. Then he goes, give me some saline. Big bucket of water. Yeah, salt water. Pours it in. They suck it out. Pours more in. They suck it out. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how much is he going to pour in there? It looks like a car wash. So that, I can't remember the name of the powder. It prevented infection. Now, do they pour this powder in neatly? No. He takes the container. Bop. That looks good. Time to close. And they stitch the neck shut. Holy crap. No wonder I was so sore. Although the neck does feel, okay. But, here. Hopefully this will show you up, because I'll show you what Grumpy's got in his neck. I got the dog bone, I got the screws, I got the bolts. Here, can you see that? It figures it's damn light. Let's shut the light off and see if we can figure something else out. Can't see it. We got an alternate plan B. Where's a light? Hold on, I gotta go over to Studio B and get a light. You'll love seeing this. Although, if anybody's had one of these fusions done, now that wasn't supposed to happen. Stand by. Oh, knock the microphone. Let's see if we can do reverse illumination. There. You see that? Look at that dog bone. That's in my neck. This is even scarier. Wait till you see the screws. Are we illuminating the screws? There, look at them screws. Come on, light. Illuminate the screws. Look at that. That is fucking scary. Look at them screws. Almost to the back of my neck. And the dog bone. Let me get the dog bone again. Look at that dog bone. That's what was holding Grumpy's neck together for the longest time. Well, it's still in there. This is, that's some scary shit, man. And then it was interesting after surgery. Let me get this back in the folder. When the doctor gets ready to release me, he goes, "Don't take that collar off for 2 weeks." I'm like, "Why?" "Your neck will fall apart." "What? What do you mean my neck will fall apart?" "Well, it ain't fused." Now, this was one of them hard plastic collars. You couldn't move nohow. Nasty, thick, hard plastic. Had a little padding up here, but it went down to about here on my chest. Turn the light back on. Camera light. So, when does Grumpy get the surgery done? July. The temperature after surgery for a week and a half was in the 90s. I'm sweating my ass off like a whore in church on Sunday. It was like somebody was pouring water down my neck. Now, I can't take the collar off, so I'm tucking towels in, to keep me dry. So after 2 weeks, it was fun showering with that thing too. You can't move your frickin' neck. If you want to look down, you got to bend your whole goddamn body, and you couldn't get all this wet. I says, "How am I going to wash my hair?" At that time, I had hair. The doctor said, "Just use a wet cloth. You're only going 2 weeks." Okay. Well, needless to say, at the end of 2 weeks, I go in for an x-ray. Now, when the x-ray technician took the collar off, I was scared shitless. I thought maybe my head was going to flop over. He does the x-ray, puts the collar back on. The doctor said, well, you got to wear that another week. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Well, the third week happened to be just as hot as the first two. I'm stuffing rags and everything in to try to keep me dry from sweating my ass off. So finally, at the end of 3 weeks, the doctor says, okay, good news, bad news. I'm like, now what? Well, you can take the hard collar off. Good news. But you gotta wear a soft collar for 3 more weeks. I said, okay, where's the soft collar? In comes his nurse. She puts the soft collar on. It's like thick, soft foam rubber. I says to him, yeah, do I get any more? No. I said, Doc, the way I've been sweating, this thing gonna be soaked in a couple hours. Huh? What do I have to wear? The goddamn soaking wet soft collar? So they were generous. Yeah. They gave me 2 more. Well, that lasted a long time. Put one on, 2 hours later soaking wet. Put another one on, 2 hours later soaking wet. Put the third one on, 2 hours later soaking wet. And then, with all the perspiration, I had to wash them. And no matter how I wrung them out, it took forever to dry. I had them in front of a fan. I put them in the oven. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So finally, after 6 weeks, he goes, you can take the collar off. Cool. He goes, but you can't drive for another month. I was like, hey, I'm by myself. I can't get nobody to run errands. What do you mean I can't drive? Well, you can't drive. I said, I need to get groceries. Well, you're going to have to get some help or something because you can't pick up anything over 5 pounds. I said, what do you mean? You can't carry anything heavier than a gallon jug of milk. I said, you gotta be fucking kidding me. No. Well, how long has this gotta go? Another 4 weeks. Jesus Christ. I was making daily trips to the fucking grocery store. And then I was measuring shit on a scale. One of the clerks of the store asked me, why are you weighing cans of pork and beans? I said, because I can't carry anything over 5 pounds. She just looked at me like I was, at a screw loose. I hoped I didn't have any screw loose. I got 4 of them in there. Hopefully they're tight. Well, needless to say, that was some really interesting surgery. Glad I watched it 20 years later. I wouldn't have had it done. As a matter of fact, something that really pissed me off. I was told by another orthopedic surgeon I didn't need it. I said, what do you mean I didn't need it? Well, you needed it, but the way the surgeon done it, he didn't do it right. I said, what do you mean he didn't do it right? Well, according to what I see on the x-rays and the MRI, he only removed like 80% of the disc. I said, yeah. Well, that other 20% is going to cause a problem down the line. said, well, how do we straighten this out? Well, he said, I'd have to go in, take all that out. Never mind. Whatever problem it causes, I'll put up with it. I ain't going through that shit. And this was before I watched the video. I just told him I wasn't going to go through that bullshit anymore. I didn't. Once is enough. But to find out he didn't do it right 100% pissed me off. Of course, I was with a different medical system by then. So, you know, those doctors could say nasty things about the other doctor. But all the time I was with that first medical system, oh, you're doing wonderful. That pain you think you have, that's phantom pain. It'll go away. Well, it's 20 years later. Doc, I still got that phantom pain. Yeah. But I ain't going through that no more. I'll put up with the pain. Matter of fact, I have an excellent pain management doctor. I even asked him, I said, do you know what went on in my neck? He goes, well, I read the reports that you brought in because I brought them fancy x-rays with the dog bone. I said, call the orthopedic surgeon. He'll fill you in on the rest. So he calls. And the next office visit, he goes, oh, now I know why you're having the pain. I said, let me guess. 20% of the disc. Yep. But he adjusted the treatment. But it's bullshit. You're supposed to be pain-free after these surgeries. Doctors are supposed to know what they're doing. But see, I learned something with this, watching this video. It was obvious. The surgeon that did the first surgery didn't use one of them fancy microscopes. Yeah. This doctor that was doing the YouTube surgery, $200,000 microscope. Evidently, that hospital system I was with must have been cheap. And he said, a lot of orthopedic surgeons never train with a microscope. I think they're cutting a tree down outside. You know, they only start this shit, it seems like, when I'm broadcasting. Yeah. I don't think there was a need to start to cut a tree down outside my window. But it'll be interesting for YouTube background noise. It works good with the surgery. It sounds like somebody chipping a bone away, like that doctor did with that burr bit on the end of that drill. Oh, do they have some strange instruments in the operating room? And they go by weird names, like the Bovie. I would have said, hand me the hot scalpel. No, give me the Bovie. And then the best one was, I almost fell off the chair. The doctor said, I need a Woody. You guys in the audience will understand that one. I'm like, in the middle of surgery, doc? You're a sick bastard. No, it's a little tiny scraper. It looks like a little miniature. Actually, it looks like a tiny paddle on the end of a rod. A little tiny paddle, flat paddle. A Woody. Give me the Woody. Yeah. You know, I call them tweezers. They call them forceps. And then they got A lot of the tools are named after doctors that invented them. Give me a Sam Smith. To me, it looked like a chisel. Nope. Give me a Fred Williams. Oh, that's a fancy pair of tweezers. Yeah, all these instruments got doctors' names with them. The people that invented them. Like, I guess maybe the doctor's name was Dr. Bovey that invented the hot scalpel. Give me the Bovey. Give me a Woody. That one got me. Yeah, he's operating away going, I need a Woody. I said, Doc, you're in the operating room, in the middle of surgery, scraping some guy's bones out. You don't need a Woody right now. But it was a tool. I don't think I could work as an assistant in an operating room. I couldn't learn all them weird names for all them tools. Well, maybe the Bovey. I would associate that with a cow. But yeah, the rest of them. You know, you can't say, give me the curved tweezers. No. Give me the Fred Smiths. Here you go, Doc. And then this doctor, he's a real dick. As a matter of fact, he even said, people say I'm a real dick in the operating room. The assistant hands him a tool. He goes, is that the way you're supposed to hand that goddamn thing to me? Now, take it back and hand it to me right. I'm like, you had it in your hand, Doc. You can flip it over by yourself. No. Take it out of my hand, put it in my hand right. And then when he was doing the procedure, he's yelling at his assistants. Now you know what it is. I get the Bovey, then I get the irrigation, then I get the Sam Smith and the Fred Williams and the Betty Rubble. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Not to drive you crazy, but it was interesting watching that surgery. Especially when he put them posts in between the bones and then stretched the bones apart. And he's showing people, watch this. Crank, 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 crank. Opens it up. Watch it go back. Crank, 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 crank. Watch it go back. Those are the discs in your neck. They hold the bones together. I'm like, yeah, by the time you get done, this guy's going to have a 12-inch neck instead of a 6-inch neck the way you're stretching things. But everything went together okay. But boy, the hammering, the chopping, the grinding, like what you're hearing outside now. That's what it sounded like in the surgery room. And with that, before it really drives me crazy, I think I'm going to go out there and find out why they're chopping a tree down outside Grumpy's studio at 7:48 at night. With that, maybe we'll have some more interesting shit for tomorrow. What do you think, Bird? He agrees. All right. I'll chat with you tomorrow. See you, bye. See you, bye. How come my clicker ain't working? Let's try a see you, bye